Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing Dumper vs. Dumpee timeline, breakup, no contact stages. I provide audio and email coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my websites for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing Dumper vs. Dumpee timeline, breakup, no contact stages. If you're going through a breakup, you might be wondering what future stages you and your ex are likely to go through. Today's podcast will be referencing the likely timeline that both dumpers and dumpees will experience after the no contact rule has been implemented. Presented as 3 dumper vs. dumpee comparisons. So let's get straight into this. And number 1 is dumper relief versus dumpee anxiety. So as I said, this is going to be looking at the dumper versus dumpee timeline after no contact has been implemented. And if we are to consider that the breakup has just taken place, the dumpee has implemented my version of a no contact rule, this is the first likely stage comparison that we see. We see dumper relief and we see dumpee anxiety. Now, the reason we see it like this is because at the time of the breakup, the dumper has a very low level of romantic emotional attraction that they feel for their dumpee. They have decided to end the relationship because they believe that they will have a more fulfilling life outside of this relationship. So if and when the dumpee implements my version of a no contact rule, this initially will give the dumper relief because the dumper doesn't want to be pursued. The dumper does not want to see the dumpee contacting them time after time after time. The dumper doesn't want the dumpee to beg, to plead and to reason. So if the dumpee implements my version of a no contact rule, which if you're wondering, what is your version of a no contact rule? What is this? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and please check out all of the videos that I've done on my version of a no contact rule. I've got plenty of content on there. I even have a playlist entitled The No Contact Rule. Just go and check that out, listen to it all the way through, and you will understand what I'm meaning when I'm describing my version of a no contact rule. So if the dumpee implements my version of a no contact rule, the dumper is initially feeling relief. They're feeling relief because they are glad that they are not being pursued. They are happy that they are outside of a relationship. That is why they ended the relationship. This is the decision they wanted. So they're feeling relief. They're feeling relief that they are not being hassled. They're not being stressed. And they feel like the worst is over. They likely did not want to hurt their dumpee. And hence, if nothing is going on, if there's no stress, no drama, no pursuing, they're probably thinking, well, the worst is over. I've ended the relationship. I was upset at the time, no doubt. But thankfully, everything is now calm. I'm feeling relief. The dumpee, on the other hand, is feeling anxiety. The dumpee has listened to my advice and implemented my version of a no contact rule. And yet they are feeling anxiety. They are feeling like this doesn't make sense. This sounds counterintuitive, they are thinking. How on earth will this increase the possibility of me getting my ex back if I'm not speaking to them? The dumpee is thinking, surely I need to be apologising to my ex. I need to be reasoning with my ex. I need to be speaking to my ex to give me any chance at all of getting them back. This doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right to implement the no contact rule. This makes no sense. I need to be begging, I need to be pleading for that second chance. And hence the dumpee is feeling anxiety. They've decided that they're going to follow the no contact rule that I suggest. But they're very, very anxious. They're worried that this is going to make things worse. And that is why the first stage that we see when the no contact rule has first been implemented, is the dumper is feeling relief and the dumpee is feeling anxiety. So we are at a relief versus anxiety moment during the first stage of the journey. So now let's move into point number 2 and the second stage, but I'm going to be comparing about when the no contact rule has been implemented after a breakup. And point number 2 is dumper surprise versus dumpee stability. Now, it's important for me to say that there is no set time frame in between these stages. Every breakup is different. Every situation is different. Everybody will be going through these stages at their own pace, and it will be based on the relationship, the breakup, and the aftermath. So I can't say to you, oh, you're in stage 1 for 3 months and then stage 2. It doesn't work like that. Some people will progress through the stages quite quickly, through a matter of weeks. Some will take months. Some might even be longer. You are not in a race. This is your own journey. So point number 2, as I said, is dumper surprise versus dumpee stability. So point number 1, we was explaining how the dumper was feeling relief. They was feeling relief because they did not want to be hassled after they made the decision to end the relationship. But as time moves on, the dumper is starting to become surprised. Now, they are still glad that they aren't hearing from their ex because they don't want the stress, they don't want the drama, they don't want the hassle of their ex, the dumpee, trying to persuade them to get back into a relationship. They are still enjoying single life. They might have even got themselves into a new relationship at this stage. Single life is exciting, it's new, it's fresh. Maybe they're in a new relationship, which is exciting, it's fresh, it's new. Everything is on track, but they are slightly surprised that they haven't heard from their dumpee. So although they don't want to hear from their dumpee when they think of things from an outward perspective, inwardly they are surprised. And that surprise can start to create a momentarily feeling in their mind that maybe the dumpee is living a better life than they expected. Now, it doesn't mean that they wanted the dumpee to live a bad life, but they did expect the dumpee to be hurt because, of course, they are the person who ended the relationship. They ended the relationship. They know their dumpee didn't want the relationship to end. And yet they're surprised that they haven't heard from their ex because they're thinking, well, maybe they're getting on quite fine. Maybe they didn't need me. Maybe they're moving forward quite fine without me. Maybe they found somebody even better than me. That is a bit of a surprise because when I dumped them, when I ended the relationship, it seemed to me as if they really wanted to be with me. They pushed me on this pedestal. They really heightened my value. And all of these thoughts are going on internally in a dumper's mindset. This isn't something necessarily that they would be able to verbalize. This is all subconscious. But the dumper is feeling surprised that they haven't heard from their dumpee. Now, the dumpee, on the other hand, is moved into a position of stability. They have gone through the hell of anxiety, the daily stress, the hourly stress, the minute-by-minute anxiety and stress that a dumpee experiences when they first implement my version of the no-contact rule. But if they have followed all of the other advice that I have given, they haven't just been clock watching. They've actually been progressing their life as best they can. And they've been doing things to slowly put them on the road to recovery. And this has now put them in a stability mindset. They are still having times of feeling anxious, but this is generally becoming more stable. All of a sudden, they start to realize that they haven't thought about their ex for a few hours in the day. All of a sudden, they have realized that when they've spent time with their friends, they have had their mind taken away from the situation. They have actually smiled again. They've began to consider joining new clubs, groups or classes. They've even considered mixing with new people in new ways, including online dating. This might not be something which they're fully comfortable with right now, but they are feeling a level of stability. The dumpee is now going through times where they don't even think of their ex. Now, of course, this will come and hit them like a ton of bricks. After this period of stability, all of a sudden they will feel, oh my gosh, my ex, have I lost them? Will I ever hear from them again? What can I do to get them back? This will come and go. The stability mindset will be more prolonged, but this doesn't mean they won't have anxious moments. That is completely natural. And your life will ebb and flow between all of these feelings. But generally speaking, in point number 2, just as the dumper is experiencing some surprise that they haven't heard from their dumpee, the dumpee is starting to feel slightly more stable and having more stability throughout every day, where they are not thinking about their ex because they are busying themselves with new projects or meeting with friends and family, and they are starting to feel a little bit like themselves again. So now let's move into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast, of where I'm comparing dumper versus dumpee mindset, dumper versus dumpee timeline during the journey they will both go on after no contact has been implemented. And point number 3 is dumper anxiety versus dumpee growth. So we've come full circle now for the dumper. When we looked at point number 1, the dumper was feeling relief and the dumpee was feeling anxiety. Well, now we're at point number 3 and the dumper is feeling anxiety. We've come full circle. And the reason for this is, generally speaking, by the time the dumper has got to point number 3 on their journey, on their timeline, point number 3 dictates that single life isn't as spectacular as it seems. Single life can be tough. And once single life isn't as new as it used to be, once single life isn't as shiny as it used to be, once single life isn't as exciting as it once was, what is left is a general loneliness about what life has to offer. We are to consider as well that any relationship a dumper may have got into straight after the breakup has now likely broke down, and unfortunately for the dumper, this was probably a rebound relationship, and the dumper is now single. The dumper is feeling like nothing that they have tried has brought them the happiness that they felt they would find as a single person. Single life isn't easy, finding a new relationship isn't easy, and being alone isn't easy. The dumper is starting to feel similar feelings that the dumpee did at the beginning of this journey. The dumper is feeling anxious, not only for their own life, but wondering if they even made the correct decision in the first place. Why hasn't the dumpee contacted them? Why hasn't the dumpee begged, pleaded and reasoned with them? Why does the dumpee seem to be living a life much happier than the dumper is right now? And this is a complete flip, because at the beginning, on point number 1, the dumpee was worrying about what the dumper was doing. And now in point number 3, the dumper is worrying what the dumpee is doing. And if there is an ignition to all of this fuel, this is the moment where the dumper will likely reach out to the dumpee. Ignition could be something such as a trigger, or just the realization that their life isn't going the way it seemed. And this is why in point number 3, if the dumpee has done everything right, if the dumpee has been able to behave in a way which has regrown enough romantic emotional attraction in the dumper's mind, then the dumper will likely reach out at this stage on the timeline. But what about the dumpee? We've just spoke about the dumper feeling anxious, but versus this is the dumpee feeling growth. The dumpee has moved into a mindset of feeling like a new person. They have progressed more than just stability. They have now moved forward into growth and closer to a version 2.0 of themselves. Really exploring new things now, such as new clubs, groups and classes. Really throwing themselves into new projects, aims and goals. The dumpee is living a life like they didn't believe was possible during point number 1. Growth has enabled a dumpee to regrow their confidence, to regrow their self-esteem, and to become a better person in every single way than they were at the time of the breakup. Incredibly, to the dumpee's mindset is now a feeling that they don't even mind if they hear from their ex again. They never thought they would say this before, but the dumpee, when they get to this moment in time, is happy to progress and try their luck at finding somebody even better. In fact, some dumpees at this moment would have already found somebody better. And if they haven't yet, they have the confidence to know that with or without their ex, they will have a positive future because they are on the path to success. They are doing enough of the right things to know that the right things will come to them. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity, and the Dumpee has done plenty of preparation. They are now waiting for that opportunity to find a greater happiness than they ever felt possible. Now, as I said, in this versus mode, the Dumpee is feeling anxious, but Dumpee is likely to reach out to the Dumpee at this time, and therefore the Dumpee will no doubt have the chance and the option to try and reconcile with their ex one day if everything marries up to this point. Now, it's important for me to say that there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back. Nothing works 100% of the time, and nothing fails 100% of the time. This is a generalized dumper and dumpee timeline. This is a generalized versus journey. This will happen to lots of people who experience life in this way, but there will be exceptions, and not all of you will experience this precisely as I have described. However, a lot of you will experience these things in a very similar way to as I've just spoke of. Now, of course, a dumper will only consider reconnecting with their ex if they grow enough romantic emotional attraction to the necessary high point. Even if a dumpee does everything right, if a level of romantic emotional attraction had dropped so low, it might never grow to the necessary point for the dumper to want to reach out. Additionally, even if a dumper does grow to this level and does reach out to their ex, the dumpee needs to be feeling enough romantic emotional attraction for their former partner, the dumper. And if a dumpee is not feeling this anymore, then this will not reconnect. The dumpee might have met somebody else. They might have met somebody even better. They might not be interested in anything more than platonic friendship, just as the dumper might feel that way. There are so many permutations, and a lot will have to come from a communication stage if and when the dumper reaches out. So even if a dumper makes contact with the dumpee, the communication stage and then moving forward to the meetup stage will dictate what happens to this connection and whether they decide to grow a new relationship together. If you move forward with positivity, you will be giving yourself the best possible chance of success, no matter whether you are the dumper or the dumpee. But understand that what I have described today is the likely timeline that most dumpers and most dumpees will experience after a breakup when the no contact rule has been implemented of my variety. There are many different versions of a no contact rule that you can find online, and I believe that my version will give you the best possible chance of success, which is why I suggest you check out my YouTube channel and learn about my version and why it differs to some of the other versions that you will hear other people speak of. Please remember that whatever position you are in, that with or without your ex, you will have a positive future if you move forward and you go through self-improvement. Always remember that clock watching is not an option. No matter what position you are in, you must live your life because we only have one life, and life is not a dress rehearsal. You must live it because there is no guarantee you can get your ex back. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.